You know what I find fascinating? Most of the high-end experts that I talk to think that their biggest problem is visibility. So they're constantly chasing more followers, more view, more engagement. Like they're trying to go viral. But here's what I have discovered after working with hundreds of premium clients over the last 8 years. The difference between struggling experts and those that are consistently enrolling like 20K clients isn't about being seen more. It's really about being understood in a very different way. So let me make it clear to you. You don't have a visibility problem. You very likely have a messaging problem instead. And so what we're going to be doing on this episode is walking you through exactly how transforming your messaging can really revolutionize your business, just like it did for me and for so many of my clients. So let's talk really about what happens when you finally get your messaging right, because the transformation goes way beyond just thinking like, oh, I'm getting better marketing because of it. And I see this happening really all the time with my clients. They come to me thinking that they really need just better marketing strategies, better systems, more content ideas, fancier funnels, or better scripts for sales calls. But really, at the core of it, what they actually need is to fundamentally shift how they truly are communicating their value. Like really being great at making a case for what they do. That's what happened in my own business, right? And when I focus on my 3 core pillars, number 1, speaking directly to power buyers. Secondly, leveraging what I like to call my angle of mastery and transforming what I do into a need to have. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to unpack these 3 things and how you can implement it into your business, starting with diving deep into power buyers, because that shift alone really can transform your entire business. When I started speaking directly to power buyers, something kind of magical happened. And I'm not just talking about like better sales, but what happened is that my content started doing the heavy lifting for me. Instead of us spending hours on sales calls, like explaining my value and what was included, all these details, my ideal clients were coming to me saying, I've been binge watching your videos on YouTube and in your content, and it's like you're in my head. And the reason is that power buyers recognize or they see themselves in your messaging, like when you do that effectively, right? When you speak to power buyers, they stop saying, I don't have the money, I can't invest in this. And instead, they're gonna ask you for the payment link even before you've told them what you do in detail. Like I've had people on calls that are like, okay, how do I get started? What's the next step? Like I'm ready right now before I've even told them the details of everything. They don't need context for hours on that sales call because they're already coming basically very much pre-sold to your call. Happens all the time with my clients. Like take Jessica, for example. She's a business strategist who is really struggling with attracting a lot of, tire kickers, price shoppers, and all these different things. And after we shifted her messaging to speak to exclusively to established entrepreneurs, like people that were truly ready to scale, something really crazy happened. She started mentioning her 25K package before the sales call, and then people would still show up for her sales calls. They were like, okay, I'm ready. Because the thing is that when you speak to power buyers, they're not really looking for the cheapest option. They're looking for the right solution. I have another client, Michelle, who went from constantly justifying her prices to having clients tell her, like, I don't even need to know the details. Like, just send me the link. I'm ready. I know that you're the right person for me. So what I find is that that's exactly what happens when you stop trying to speak to that Ursula, the poor unfortunate soul, and start speaking to those power buyers instead. The second thing that you want to focus on is your angle of mastery, because honestly, like this is where true market leadership is going to actually begin and come forward. When you fully embrace your unique perspective, your point of view, you literally become your own category. I remember vividly the moment that it just clicked for me, right? And the idea of angle of mastery. I stopped trying to be another marketing or messaging coach, and I started owning my unique approach to premium client attraction through messaging psychology. And that transformation was really quick. My content went from generic and vague to highly specific and powerful. Like literally the month that I changed this, I made 50K within a week, right? People started quoting my frameworks back to me, and I started attracting people who were just higher level clients who didn't need hand holding. Everything felt so much more aligned because I was finally being fully myself. And that's what most people are missing. They're trying to sound like everybody else in their niche, thinking that that's what their audience wants or that's what's working because it's working for them, right? But honestly, it's the actual opposite. So for example, I work with a client of mine, Alex, who was a health coach, and he was lost in the sea of weight loss experts. And what happened is that when we discovered his unique angle of mastery, combining ancestral wisdom with modern neuroscience, his entire business basically transformed. Not only did his content really just start flowing effortlessly because now he was speaking from truth, like from what he really knew, but his clients started getting even better results because they were specifically attracted to his unique approach and to his way of doing things. So what happens is that when you're bringing in that angle of mastery, what I find is that it gives you this unwavering certainty in what you really do. It helps you communicate your expertise in a way that makes buyers feel like this is what I want, right? Like your solution will actually work for them. And essentially it establishes you as this like leader, like true leader in your niche. Which brings me to that third pillar that we focus on, which is the need to have formula, because I feel like that's where things really come together, turning what you do into a need to have. You see, this is the big difference between having interested followers, like people that are like liking, following, commenting on your stuff, and people who are actually committed to investing, committing clients, right? When you nail your need to have formula down, people stop second guessing themselves. They sell themselves into your solution before you've even told them the details of what you do. Your content is essentially priming your audience to take action. They're activated because of it. Your offer goes from a nice to have someday, sure, maybe, to a I need this right now, send me the payment, like I'm ready to go, where do I begin, right? And that's literally what happened to my client Sarah, who was really struggling to sell her 5K leadership program. Her content was really good. She is such an expert, and it was solid, but something was missing. Something wasn't clicking. So when we dug in deeper, we realized that she was basically positioning her offer like a nice to have, right? Something that, yeah, sure, would help leaders be better, but not something that they really needed. So we shifted her message to focus on this really critical gap between where her clients were to where they needed to be, positioning her program as that bridge that would help these people get to where they wanted to be. And so as a result, she actually filled her entire new cohort at 10K per person because we turned her offer from enhancement into a necessity, from like, sure, like we're getting some improvements too, like this is life-changing. And that's what's really fascinating. When you're able to get all of these three pillars working together, you're able to experience complete business transformation. Your marketing, like it changes no matter where you're at, where you're posting, what platform. Content flows naturally. People are binging your material. Engagement becomes more meaningful and sales just become easier. And obviously at the same time, your client quality elevates. They are pre-sold, they take more action, they get better results, and they refer you with more premium clients. It is pretty amazing as a process. So let's talk about how you implement these changes in your own business right now. So the first thing is you want to get very crystal clear on who your power buyers actually are. What are they already investing in? What language do they use? Like really go deep to understand what makes somebody a buyer. The next thing that you want to do is identify your unique angle of mastery, your perspective, your approach. What makes you different? What assumptions are you challenging in the market? And from then, you want to reframe your offering around fundamental transformation rather than just like surface level results. So going really deep to turn it into a need to have. The key here is implementing these shifts systematically. This isn't about changing everything overnight. It's about strategically elevating your message to attract the right people at the right price point, at the right time, essentially, right? So what happens is that when you nail these three pillars, you don't just change your marketing, you transform, honestly, your entire business model. I mean, that's what we have experienced in our business, where I see so many clients feel as well. You go from chasing clients to attracting them in and bringing in opportunities. And, you know, instead of competing on price, you're creating your own category. You're going from explaining your value to actually embodying it. And most importantly, you build a business that feels authentically aligned with who you are and the transformation that you are already providing for your people. It is pretty magical as a process. So if you want to know if your message is effectively shifting beliefs and creating demand, let's hop on a quick 15-minute brand message assessment where I'm going to give you personalized feedback on exactly what you need to shift right now in your message to speak to power buyers, elevate your angle of mastery, and turn what you do into a need to have. Go to brandmessagesession.com or just look for the link underneath this episode right now to book that call. Make sure that you subscribe and follow me on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You follow me on Fabi Paolini on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Leave me your review in this podcast and let me know in the comments below, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to communicating your value and how you're coming across to your audience. I would love to hear your thoughts and let me know if this episode resonated with you. I will see you next week.